Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back for another chapter reading of Helga Zeiner's section 132, A Child Bride Forced into Polygamy. Go ahead and do me a favor and hit the like button as we jump into these next chapters. Hopefully, this is a little bit lighter of a reading, but you guys know that I don't know because I don't read these ahead of time. So let's begin. Chapter 8. How did he take it? Brother Lucas asked. Brother Matthew shrugged his shoulders indifferently. As expected, I talked to him last night again. For the third time now, I tried to reason with him to make him see his shortcomings and to warn him of further consequences if he doesn't adhere to our rules. All he did was rave on about the injustice of it all, that he doesn't deserve to be treated like any apostate, that in his view, it was unjustified to cut off his benefits so suddenly. After 10 years? 10 years of him getting all this excess money from them, of him not doing anything but working these women, and he still feels a way about it. That's not sudden. He said it's not possible for him to make money with such a small family and under the harsh conditions he has to endure in his exile. Brother Lucas studied the papers on his desk in front of him. Now let me see. With his latest wife, Brother Peter's daughter, he has 14 wives altogether. As far as we know, at least over 50 children. His oldest son must be about 15 by now, and there are several other boys approaching priesthood age. That is a bigger family than many of us have. What about you, Brother Matthew? How many wives do you have? The gatekeeper sitting opposite him could not suppress a smile. I must admit, I have just taken the daughter of my sister as a wife, so I have a few more than Brother Jacob has. Brother Lucas smiled back at him. That may be. You are a church elder of impeccable standing. You deserve to spread your seed forth through the Lord's glory. Y'all are so sick. These men, it's like it. mm, I'm not sure about our poor misguided brother. Does he at least understand why we have canceled his monthly allowance? Brother Matthew shook his head. Not in the least. He thinks it is simply an idle threat and believes he can persuade us to start sending him money again. He doesn't even understand that we plan to excommunicate him if he can't support his family through his own endeavors. In fact, apart from asking for our continued financial support, he had the temerity to request yet another wife because the last one, Brother Matthew cleared his throat before he could repeat the reason for Brother Jacob's impertinent request. Because the last one is useless, and all his other wives are too. The last one is useless. The one that he's violated time and time again is useless. Shame on him, Brother Lucas said quietly, but with enough emphasis to make Brother Matthew notice his contempt. He should know that he has a duty to all his wives. It seems to me that he spreads his favors unevenly merely to seek physical gratification. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. It seems, oh shoot, it seems to me he is not matured as we hoped in the last 10 years. And it seems to me that part from his self indulgent pursuit of pleasure, he is ungrateful and overly avaricious. That's not Avarius. Overly Avaricious, overly avaricious. I think that's it. What it is. Would you agree with my evaluation of his character, Brother Matthew? Wholeheartedly. And it seems to me that our decision to stop financially supporting his compound has been just. All of our brothers are in agreement. That is good to know. I would not want to see unjust. Now, how long is it since we made the last payment? 1 month. Brother Lucas stood up. Excellent. So he will feel the pinch already. Call him every month and keep me informed of his progress, if there is any. We must all pray for him to see the light. He walked Brother Matthew to the door of his office. One last thing. Let us spare Brother Peter's feelings. He doesn't need to know that his daughter has been deemed useless by Brother Jacob. Has he mentioned what he plans to do with the girl? I have not discussed this with him. Of course not. That's his own business. It is of no importance. May the Lord bless you. So y'all don't even care about what happens to her, just like you didn't care probably about the other one that was unalived. Did anyone ask what happened to that daughter? I guess not. After Brother Mitchell had closed the door behind him, Brother Lucas returned to his desk and to the other pressing matters that needed his undivided attention. He had much work to do and felt so tired. He ought to spend less time with his pretty twin wives, Leah and Lorraine. He had visited them last night and they had drained his last reserves of energy. But it had felt so good. Oh gosh, another perv. Oh, I'm just over these guys. Even now, he savored the memory of their hands massaging his tired old body into action. Who could resist one of the Lord's gifts in the shape of a 17-year? What? Who could resist one of the Lord's gifts in the shape of 17-year-old nymphs who were willing to the point of indecency? This man, if I remember, is like what, 70 something, 80 something? He had often spent part of his nights with more than one wife, but usually only until it was time for him to decide which one was allowed to stay and receive his seed. The twins, however, didn't mind sharing their most intimate moments with each other. He had never forced both of them to stay. He had also never demanded one of them to leave. To watch their near identical bodies moving in total harmony to heighten his pleasure, delicious, simply delicious. They're all pervs. They're all, and here's the thing. I'm not judging people who decide that they're going to have more than one person in the bed with them, to each his own. But this is a 17. These are 17-year-old girls with this man. He's no better than the bishop, except I guess he's saying that they want to do this. I don't know. Y'all tell me your thoughts. He liked to think the Lord had created them exclusively for him as a premature reward for picking their truly faithful out from the hordes of making believers and directing them toward the road that led them to his throne. Brother Jacob was one of those who had fallen by the wayside. It would do no good to ever get him back. When he had married his wife, his first wife, Marion, how long ago was that now again? It must be nearly 20 years if he remembered rightly. He had not bothered to ask his permission. Although he had been the head of the gatekeepers already, and Brother Jacob had been well aware that no marriage deal was done without his approval. Brother Jacob had been sneaky like a Gentile in the heat and had spoken to Marion's father in a way that the poor man had believed permission was already granted. So this isn't the first time that he's done this. He continues to do this. He's writing letters. He's speaking as if this is what he's always done. So why are they so shocked that he went as far as he did to get Lillian? Just like he had done recently with Brother Peter's daughter. He then married Marion in a great hurry in defiance of the rules. No, it would do no good to get him back. Brother Lucas never wanted to see him in his realm again. Not him nor the lovely Marion, but he could still remember her. Her heart shaped face with the pointy chin, the dewy eyes always searching to make out the contours of her surroundings, probably because she was short sighted, her elegant movements when floating into the room to serve her father's guests. She had been so lovely to look at. He had been yearning for her company and had wanted to spend time alone with her. A lot of time. Even to this day, he still assumed that she could have given him what he had been searching for in all of his wives: companionship, someone to talk to in quiet moments who would understand him, someone to soothe his aching when the burden of responsibilities became too heavy to carry alone in the middle of a sleepless night. This thought had troubled him for a while because he should not make himself dependent on a woman. But then he had stopped worrying because he would never know for sure if she could have held this power over him, because brother Jacob had beaten him to it. May he rot in hell for this deception. May his damnation begin in this life already. Okay, so that lets me know that brother Jacob has other reasons. Well, not brother Jacob. Brother Lucas has other reasons to be upset with brother Jacob because he wanted Marion, who I'm sure no longer looks the way that she used to, because much like what happens in these dynamics, like what we've seen on Sister Wives, is these guys suck the youth out of these women. They do. It's sad to say, but that's what happens. Chapter 9. A week had passed since she had been allowed to leave the house up on the hill. One whole week filled with learning the rules and regulations of the household and with hard work, as Martha was still recovering from the physical wounds her husband had left her with. Marion had allowed her to join Anna in the kitchen. Weak as she was, she found the duty there exhausting, but at least she didn't have to join these poor women who were driven to the dump site outside of Blue River every morning. The bishop's eldest son loaded them on the back of his father's truck and picked them up again at nightfall. Usually they came back with a few orange colored plastic bags full of old clothes, reeking of rotten garbage, just like Anna had described, looking dirty and depressed. Even their driver looked like he hated what he was doing when he helped them unload the bags. But he was the only one besides Marion and Catherine who had a driver's license. All the other boys were still too young. Marion had to supervise the whole compound, and the bishop found himself, of course, had more important things to do than to drive his wives to work and back. That would have left Catherine as a potential driver, but she couldn't be counted on anymore. Anna had told Martha that the teacher mother's serious illness had disrupted the family's routine quite a bit. Marion was still looking for a replacement who could teach the children. I'm no good at it, Anna had confided in Martha a few days ago, overjoyed that she was sent back to the kitchen. To teach the scripture all day long gets really, really boring. She also hinted that everybody was now watching and waiting for their new sister wife to take on her share of the workload, and that they couldn't understand why Marion allowed her in the kitchen and didn't send her to the dump. Obviously, Martha was clearly pampered by the first wife. Martha didn't feel pampered at all. The days in the hot kitchen dragged on endlessly. She had to stand while chopping vegetables and prepare and preserving food, and was not allowed to sit down except for the two meals, breakfast and supper. Everybody shared in the community hall while listening to the scripture. After supper, she had to clean the kitchen before she could join the other sister wives and their daughters in the hall again. There they all sat on makeshift tables and benches, sewing small patches of material together until the sparse electric light in the community hall became too dim for the women to see much. Only then were they allowed to stop working and go back to their huts. Martha and Anna were walking up to the main house at first light, as they had done every morning this week. Overnight, moisture had settled in the trees and on the ground. The rising sun filtered through the misty fog, breaking it into patches, yet the driveway was still barely visible. They were both so tired they did not speak, but trudged along like sleepwalkers. By the time they reached the top of the hill, they were breathing heavily from the exhausting climb. Some members of the family had arrived already, others were still making their way up. Marion stood in front of the community hall, a long wood frame structure connected to the main house, waiting for everybody to arrive. Martha and Anna were just about to enter the back door of the main house to start their duties in the kitchen when Marion called them back. "All of you inside the hall, please," she announced, ushering all of the arrivals inside. She waited until they were all seated before she made a startling announcement. "My dear sister wives, at our husband's request, only 5 of you will work in the fields from now on." The room filled with anxious murmurs. All of the women were stunned by this departure from the daily routine, but one was bold enough to ask many of them didn't dare express. Why? Why only 5 of us will never get any of, oh, excuse me, why? Only 5 of us will never get all the hay in. It will rot. And what about the vegetables? Marion pressed her lips together in a futile effort to hide her disapproval. Martha wondered if she disapproved of her husband's order or of the interruption. Who are we to have questions on our husband's wishes? The murmurs died down. It is not our place. From today on, 5 will go to the fields. Only one stays in the kitchen, and all the others will go to the dump to collect material for our handcrafts. Our husband wants us to increase our efforts to pile up as much material as possible before the snow comes. 3 of the younger boys will build a shed behind the backyard where we can store it. So you mean to tell me that people are just throwing out clothes every day? Like, this isn't making sense to me what they're doing, but okay. I or maybe they can only, because the dump is so big, they can only search certain area. It just, yeah, anyways. Only by collecting enough can we keep ourselves busy through the winter months. You know how many old clothes are discarded at the dump. Most of the material is still good. We can pick it apart, wash it, and make it beautiful. We can make beautiful quilts out of it. Our husband says we need to become self sufficient. We need to earn our keep. I don't have to tell you, we are a big family and we need many things to sustain ourselves. It is important for all of you to work together to make this project successful. I will be with you all the way. I will join you in the dump as often as I can. School will be suspended until I have worked out who can replace our dear sister wife, Catherine, who is not able to join us in our blessed efforts. The ones who go to the field have to work doubly hard to harvest as much as they can. As I said, kitchen duty will be reduced to one. This week, it will be Martha. Wow, wow, wow. She was already complaining about how hard it was when it was a bunch of them. Now it's just going to be her. At this point in Marion's speech, Anna clawed into Martha's arm. "Oh, God, no," she whispered. "She will send me to the dump again." And a bit louder, more than she had planned, letting go of Martha and staring at the first wife. "Why can't I do the kitchen? I'm senior to Martha." Marion pretended not to hear. "It has come to our husband's attention that some of you think he favors Martha. This is not the case. We will rotate all duties. Next week, Martha will be sent to the dump and another sister wife will take her place in the kitchen." Oh, he's done with Martha, at least for now. I hope this gives her a break she needs. She was lucky. For some reason, it took until early October before Martha had to go to the dump. Working there was as brutal and disgusting as Anna had said, and she hated it from the first moment on. The sister wives told her she should thank the Lord because summer was over and the cold northerly wind that increased in strength every day made the Swedish rotten stink a lot more bearable. Martha couldn't even imagine how bad it must have been a few weeks earlier. She could only hope that she would gradually get used to it before the next summer arrived. However, what she would never get used to was sinking ankle deep uh into the mush that spilled out of broken garbage bags, wading through the revolting mess of decomposing food mixed with household trash like used diapers, broken bottles, and even syringes. She often had to dig with her bare hands to free something that looked useful. None of them got used to it. Martha noticed the disgusting expression on the faces of her sister wives. noses wrinkled, lips tightly pressed together to keep their repulsion under control. They shuffled and crawled over the mountains of garbage, digging and rolling into the valleys of the landfills, sniffing and searching like rodents for anything useful. They bundled up against the chilly autumn air as best as they could, grabbing any discarded jacket, skirt, coat, pullover, vest they could find and slipping them over their traditional dresses. The padded clothing worked against the cold and the stench. Just like her sister wives, Martha started to pray for snow. Snow would make it impossible to rummage through the garbage. The good Lord must have listened to them. One day at the end of October, it was sunny with the leaves on the trees around the dump site still golden and red. And the next day, a blizzard like wind from the north, carrying Arctic chill, came up and blew them off the branches within minutes. Flurries quickly covered the ground, melting into the still warm earth until the many layers thickened enough to stay on top of each other. Martha had never seen snow before. The flurries were now thick and fluffy, covering all the ugliness with a white blanket, making it disappear like magic. One thing that I love, you guys, is snow. Not snow where I live now because they don't know how to drive in it and they don't know how to treat the roads. But like I when I was in New York, I used to love snow. We still had to go to school. But I loved it. It's so pretty when it first falls and there's this peace and this change in the atmosphere and the way it smells. Oh, it's just so calming to me. So they all stopped what they were doing, straightened up, and smiled. Some thanked the Lord aloud. A feeling of joy came over them. Now their hardship would be over soon. They would settle into winter, work in the heated community hall all day long in clean dresses with the smell of fresh air around them. When the sun set, they heard their husband's son arrive. Only then did they dare to clamber out of the stinking hellhole to load their soaking wet trash treasures on the back of his truck and climb on top of it. None of them were permitted to sit next to him, and he was not supposed to even look at them. As often before, he ignored his father's rule, got out of the driver's seat, and helped with some of the heavier items. He saw Martha dragging a large bag behind her, went up to her, and took it out of her hands. Being suddenly so close to him, she sneaked a look to see if he was anything like her husband. His mouth was similarly fleshy, but had a nicer shape, and he seemed to be just as tall, but otherwise nothing reminded her of his father. His coloring was more like Marion's, with even brighter hair. Martha imagined that Marion must have been just as good looking in her younger days. He didn't look back at her. That night, the temperature dipped well below zero. As much as Martha had enjoyed looking at the snowflakes dancing in the headlights on the drive back to the compound, she did not care for this inevitable cold that came with the onset of winter. Anna's hut was freezing cold, but she had no matches to light a fire in the stove. Waiting for Anna to come back, she huddled under the blanket Marian had given her nearly 3 months ago. All she could all she wanted was to curl up and sleep like a dog. But the night was so cold and the blanket was just too thin and too short. Tucking her feet under the blanket only exposed her shoulders again. She constantly tried to cover her whole body but couldn't get warm or comfortable on the hard makeshift bed. Late at night, the door opened and Anna came in. She went to the small crate her child was sleeping in, noted that it was quiet, then fell on her own crate with a big sigh of relief. Anna. Anna's voice sounded impatient. Martha, please leave me alone. Sorry, Anna, please. I'm so cold I can't sleep. Then get up and make yourself useful. Walk around with the baby. She likes it and you'll get warmer. Can I light a fire? The tiny stove in the corner of the hut will warm the room very quickly. Outside next to the cabin door, firewood was stacked up nearly to the eaves. Anna sat up abruptly. Don't you dare touch that wood pile. That's all we got for the winter. If we use it too soon, it won't last. Wow. Martha wanted to cry. She wouldn't last that long. Why didn't Anna understand? But I'm so cold, she complained. I won't be able to work tomorrow if I don't get any sleep. It's not even November yet, Anna replied, a little softer. We have 6 months of winter ahead of us. Now Martha did start to weep. It's so awful. And it's always dark. When we walk up to the house, it's dark. And when we come back here, it's dark. I hate winter. I hate everything here. You'll get used to it. Martha cried harder. Anna took pity on her. All right, then, move your crate over here next to mine. If we snuggle up, we can warm each other. Martha jumped up and carefully pushed the wooden crate over to Anna's. The young woman and the girl cuddled together as Anna had promised, quickly doubled each other's warmth. Finally, Martha felt sleepy. Thank you, Anna. She felt Anna nodding in the dark. Anna, what? How long did it take you to get used to the cold? For a while, she could only hear Anna's breathing and waited patiently. You know, I'm from Utah. It is as warm as in Arizona there. The first winter here was terrible. I thought I would die just like you. But we don't die. We are sent here for a purpose, and the Lord makes our skin thicker so we don't feel the cold so much. Every year it gets a bit easier. Martha thought about it. It could be true. Some of her sister wives had told her that mosquito bites became less itchy every summer. And back home, she had watched one of her aunts collect snake venom as an antidote against the occasional snake bites members of her family suffered. Maybe the snow worked like that too? Would the snow make her more resistant against the cold? She rubbed herself with snow every day. I hate snow, she said. It's not the snow, it's the wind that is most dangerous, Anna warned her. The wind is a killer. Last December, one of the daughters, I can't remember her name, froze to death in her hut, and there was hardly any snow on the ground. But the temperature had dropped to below 20 overnight, and the wind was so strong it felt like minus 40. How cold is it now? Don't worry, you won't freeze to death. It's barely below zero. You mean Celsius? Yes, zero is when water freezes. It can't only be zero then. The nights in Arizona desert very often dip so low that the frost covered the ground until the sun came up. But Martha had never felt so bone-chillingly cold as she did now on this still October night in Canada. Well, we know you don't have to be at zero to freeze. I mean, you can go outside and it's 30 degrees and you see ice. So of course, then she had slept in a proper bed with a mattress and a thick blanket. Anna, go to sleep. I'm tired. I have worked all day chopping wood, and then our husband wanted to see me. Oh. Martha immediately felt for the woman next to her and put her arm around her waist. Did he? Anna sighed. What now? Did you have to? Of course. We were lying together. What do you think? He will make me another baby. Oh, boo. Can I ask you one more question, please? Anna didn't respond, so Martha asked anyway. It was a question never far from her mind because she was still fearful that he might demand to see her again. In the last 3 months, the part of her that had been torn by him had healed, but she had not forgotten the pain. She took a deep breath and fumbled for the right words. When he does those things, when he is on top of you and when he kind of goes inside of you, does it still hurt you? Anna didn't answer for so long. Martha thought she had fallen asleep, but when she finally got her answer, she did not like what she heard. Don't be so squeamish. You want a child, don't you? I'll give you some advice. If you stop fighting him and tell him how much you like it, it will be over much faster. He gets too excited when you fight him. I guess men are like that. No, men are not like that. He gets excited when you fight him? That's saying that he gets excited aren't you, which is what he's already doing. But hey, the man already admitted that he liked doing that. He said it. This is, ooh, They can use their power any way they want. And if you don't give in quickly, they can feel their power growing. Just shut your eyes and think about the outcome. Smile and tell him you like it. To get pregnant is all that matters. Martha wanted to blurt out how much she hoped that she would never be with child, but she didn't care. Anna wouldn't understand, and somehow, buried deep inside of her mind, she knew that she did need children. How else would she otherwise reach the eternal kingdom? It's so infuriating that this is what they're taught, that they're only good to be incubators. Let me continue. And deeper still, nagging doubts were scratching on the surface of her faith. Was the dark abyss really so much different from the eternal kingdom on her husband's side? Instead, she asked Anna if she thought their life, as it was just now, would be going on forever, and if she thought it was something to look forward to. But this time she got no answer. Their hopes that rummaging through the dump would end with the onset of winter had been in vain. The next morning, their husband ordered that they must continue as long as the cold didn't freeze the garbage. He said they could still find many useful items to be stored in the makeshift shelter the boys had built near the community hall. It was already bursting with mountains of filthy rags and three-legged tables and chairs, broken vases and flower pots, bent pots and pans, and other household items, anything that could be restored to its old shape by scrubbing and fixing it, or made into something new by dismantling and reassembling individual parts. So they continued to burrow through the filth, watched by a horde of greedy crows and ravens, as well as the occasional disgusted villager who came to the dump. Some of them thought it funny to target the bent over women with their garbage bags as they tossed them into the pit, hollering delight obscenities when they succeeded. Every now and then, a small plane flew at low altitude over the dump, but none of the women ever looked up. And that is where we're going to end today's reading. Oh, this isn't getting any better for these women. It's to be told to like act like you like it. Just act like you like it so that he can finish up quicker. That's ooh, just goes to show you how much misery that they're all living in. Anyways, you guys, let me know what you thought of this chapter. Well, actually, these two chapters, because we read two. Until next time, peace.